is blood? Definition of blood. Blood is a vascular connective tissue and it is in fluid form. Also, it is containing dissolved substances and blood cells and circulating throughout the vertebrate body. Blood is a specialized connective tissue and contains cells suspended in a fluid matrix. Functions of blood. It is transporting dissolved gases, nutrients, hormones, and metabolic wastes. It is regulating pH, ion composition in interstitial fluids, and restricting fluid losses at injury sites. It is defending against toxins and pathogens, and it is stabilizing body temperature. Characteristics of blood. It has 38 degrees Celsius or 100.4 degree Fahrenheit, and it has high viscosity and slightly alkaline in the pH of 7.35 to 7.45, and the blood volume in liters has a 7% of body weight for kilograms and a 75 kilograms or 165 pounds in person would have approximately 5.25 liters or 5.4 quarts of blood. Plasma in blood. Plasma makes up about 55% of blood volume and more than 90% of plasma is water. Plasma also contains dissolved plasma proteins and other solutes. Plasma is similar in composition to interstitial fluid. It is because water, ions, and small solutes are exchanged across capillary walls. Plasma proteins, and there are kinds in plasma proteins. First one is the albumins, considered as 60%. It is the major contributors to plasma osmolarity and transport fatty acids, thyroid hormones, and some steroid hormones. The next one is the globulins, considered as 35%. It is the antibodies or the immunoglobulins and transport globulins encoding hormone-binding proteins, metalloproteins, apolylipoproteins or the lipoproteins, and steroid-binding proteins. The next one is the fibrinogen, considered as 4%. It is soluble protein that functions in clotting. It is converted to insoluble fibrin. It is conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin leaves serum or the fluid in blood sample. And the last one is other plasma proteins, considered as 1%. It is varying concentrations of enzymes and hormones. Formed elements in blood. It's the red blood cells, white blood cells, and cell fragments or the platelets. Hemopoiesis. It is the process of producing formed elements. Origins of plasma proteins. It is more than 90% made in liver. It is the antibodies made by plasma cells. It is the peptide hormones made by endocrine organs, including all albumins, fibrinogen, most globulins, and various proenzymes. Red blood cells or the RBCs, also called erythrocytes, and make up 99.9% of formed elements. It contains hemoglobin. It is the red pigment that gives whole blood its color, binds and transports oxygen and carbon dioxide. Red blood cell count. It is the number of RBCs per microliter of whole blood. In adult male, it has 4.5 to 6.3 million, and for adult female, it has 4.2 to 5.5 million. Hematocrit. It is packed cell volume or PCV and the percentage of formed elements in blood. For adult male, it is 46 and for adult female, it is 42. Structure of red blood cells. It is a small, highly specialized cells and biconcave discs, and it is thin central region and thicker outer margin. Hemoglobin. It is the protein in red blood cells that transports respiratory gases, and it is also the normal hemoglobin. For adult male, it has 14 to 18 hemoglobin whole blood, and for adult female, it has 12 to 16 hemoglobin whole blood. There are two kinds in hemoglobin recycling, the hemoglobinuria and the hematuria. For hemoglobinuria, it is the red on brown urine and due to abnormally high hemolysis in bloodstream. For hematuria, it is the whole red blood cells in urine and due to kidney or blood vessel damage. Surface antigens. It is a substances on plasma membranes that identify cells to immune system, and normal cells are ignored and foreign cells are attacked. Blood type. It is determined by presence or absence of surface antigens on red blood cells, the type A, B, and Rh or D. And there are four blood types. Type A or the surface antigen A, Type B or the surface antigen B, Type AB has antigens A and B, and Type O neither A nor B. Rh blood group. It is based on presence or absence of Rh antigen. It has the Rh positive and the Rh negative. When Rh surface antigen is present, it will be type O+. When Rh antigen is absent, it will be type O negative. Agglutinogens. It is the surface antigens on red blood cells screened by immune system. Agglutinins. It is the antibodies in plasma attack antigens on foreign red blood cells, causing agglutination or clumping of foreign cells. Agglutinins in blood. Type A blood has the anti-B antibodies. Type B blood has the anti-A antibodies. Type O blood has both anti-A and anti-B bodies. Type AB blood neither anti-A nor anti-B antibodies. Only the synthesized Rh blood has the anti-Rh antibodies. Let's moving on to white blood cells. It is also called leukocytes and have nuclei and other organelles and lack of hemoglobin. White blood cells functions is defending body against pathogens, removing toxins and wastes, and attacking abnormal or damaged cells. Most white blood cells are in connective tissue proper and organs of lymphatic system. A small fraction of white blood cells circulates in blood. It has 5,000 to 10,000 per microliter. The characteristics of circulating white blood cells, it is all can migrate out of bloodstream, all are capable of amoeboid movement, all are attracted to specific chemical stimuli and has a positive chemotaxis, and some are phagocytic. Types of white blood cells: the neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, monocytes, and lymphocytes. Neutrophils of white blood cells. Neutrophils, also called polymorphonuclear leukocytes, it has 50 to 70% of circulating white blood cells and a pale cytoplasmic granules containing the lysosomal enzymes and the bactericidal or the bacteria-killing compound. Eosinophils or the acidophils of white blood cells. Eosinophils has a 2 to 4% of circulating white blood cells. It engulfs bacteria, protozoa, and cellular debris. Eosinophils attack large parasites by releasing toxic compounds such as the nitric oxide and the cytotoxic enzymes. Eosinophils is sensitive to allergens and it releases enzymes that reduce inflammation caused by mast cells and neutrophils. Basophils of white blood cells. Basophils is less than 1% of circulating white blood cells. It grows capillary endothelium and accumulates in damaged tissues. Basophils release histamine and heparin, in which histamine dilates blood vessels and heparin prevents blood clotting. Monocytes of white blood cells. It is a large and spherical cells and has a 2 to 8% of circulating white blood cells and remain in bloodstream for 24 hours. Then enter peripheral tissues to become macrophage and be an aggressive phagocytes that engulf large pathogens and release chemicals that attract other phagocytic cells and fibroblasts to injured area. Lymphocytes of white blood cells. It is slightly larger than red blood cells and has a 20 to 40% of circulating white blood cells and continuously migrate in and out of bloodstream. It is mostly in organs of lymphatic system and connective tissues other than blood. It is part also of body-specific defense system. Platelets are thrombocytes of blood. The cell fragments involved in clotting system. It circulates for 9 to 12 days. It's removed by phagocytes, mainly in spleen. It has a 150,000 to 500,000 per microliter of blood. One third of platelets in body are stored in vascular organs like the spleen, and it mobilized during a circulatory crisis. Functions of platelets. It releases important clotting chemicals, it temporarily patches damaged vessel walls, and it reduces size of break in vessel wall.